Imagine being crowned emperor before you could even form full sentences. That was Puyi's reality. At just 2 years old, this little boy, small enough to sit on his nanny's lap, became the ruler of a crumbling empire. Can you imagine the weight of that crown on his tiny head? Puyi's ascension was no fairy tale. The Qing Dynasty, which had ruled China for centuries, was in its death throes. Rebellion brewed within, and foreign powers circled like vultures, eager to pick at the carcass of a once great power. The dynasty's demise was a slow, agonizing fall from grace, and Puyi, a mere toddler, became the unfortunate symbol of its end. It's almost impossible to fathom, isn't it? A child, barely aware of his own identity, thrust onto the world stage in such a dramatic fashion. Talk about a turbulent start to life. Puyi's world was confined within the imposing walls of the Forbidden City. Imagine a sprawling complex of palaces and gardens, a city within a city, closed off to the common man. This was Puyi's kingdom, a gilded cage where he lived a life of unimaginable luxury and suffocating isolation. Thousands of eunuchs and court ladies catered to his every whim. He had tutors for every subject imaginable, from calligraphy to Confucian classics. Yet he craved something more, something genuine. He yearned for playmates, for the freedom to explore beyond the confines of his palace walls. Growing up, Puyi had everything except what he truly desired: a normal childhood. He was surrounded by luxury but starved for genuine human connection. His life was a paradox, an emperor in title, yet a prisoner in his own home. The year 1912 marked a turning point in Puyi's life, the year his world turned upside down. The Xinhai Revolution swept through China, ending centuries of imperial rule. The last emperor was forced to abdicate, and Puyi, still a child, became a symbol of a bygone era. Imagine the shock, the confusion of being stripped of your title, your identity, your entire world. Forced from the only home he'd ever known, Puyi and his entourage were confined to a smaller palace in Tianjin. Here, he lived in a strange limbo, clinging to the remnants of his imperial past while the world outside marched on without him. This was Puyi's first taste of the real world, a world that no longer saw him as an emperor. It was a harsh awakening, a fall from grace that forced him to confront the fragility of his own existence. Section 4. Puppet Emperor Dancing with the Devil. In the 1930s, Japan, with its imperial ambitions, saw an opportunity in the former emperor. They installed Puyi as the puppet ruler of Manchukuo, a Japanese-controlled state carved out of northeast China. Puyi, desperate to regain some semblance of his former glory, allowed himself to be manipulated. It was a Faustian bargain, a dance with the devil. Puyi, blinded by the illusion of power, became a pawn in Japan's imperial game. He presided over a regime built on oppression and exploitation, his name used to legitimize Japan's brutal occupation. This period was a dark chapter in Puyi's life, a time of moral compromise and deep regret. He was a puppet emperor, a symbol of collaboration with a foreign power, his legacy forever tainted by his association with Japan. Section 5. Prisoner of Two Powers, a pawn in global politics. As World War II reached its climax, Puyi's world crumbled once more. The Soviet Union declared war on Japan, and Puyi, attempting to flee, was captured and imprisoned. He spent the next 5 years in Soviet custody, a pawn in the geopolitical chess game between two superpowers. Imagine the isolation, the uncertainty of being a prisoner in a foreign land, your fate hanging in the balance. Puyi, once an emperor, then a puppet ruler, was now reduced to a bargaining chip in the Cold War. In 1950, Puyi was extradited to China, where he spent another decade in prison. He underwent a process of re-education, forced to confront his past and embrace the communist ideology of his new rulers. It was a period of profound transformation, a time of reflection, and ultimately, redemption.